Stop it!
Yeah.
He projects well. I hear
Why
that
doesn't
upstairs.
anyone listen to me when I say stop it? Or
Come out the water.
Hello and welcome to Momcast, the oddly structured poorly researched podcast extravaganza. My name is Liam and today we have a very special episode. We're here with my entire family. We are in Portugal at the moment and we're going to do a family podcast. So I'm going to introduce you guys, starting on my right. Who are you?
I am Connor, I am Liam's twin brother.
And then...
I am Ruth, Liam's big sister.
I'm Willie, the dad.
I'm Dillis, Liam's mom.
I am Mark, Liam's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
I'm Audrey, Liam's sister-in-law.
And I'm Declan, the baby brother.
Yes, that's us all. We are here on a Familymoon. My sister and her husband Mark just got married, so we're here together to celebrate before they go on their proper honeymoon.
Yeah.
Today's podcast is going to be a random one where we ask various questions.
Round.
Oh yeah, okay. Don't know what he's doing. Connor's trying to suggest something to me. He doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing, sorry. We're going to have random questions, have a wee discussion points of them, try and keep it to small, simple questions, not going for too long, very similar to our family Sunday dinners, which I've not been a part of for a while. Okay, in that case, we're going to try this together, guys. We're going to try and sing this together. If you've listened to my podcast before, I will know if you haven't. 3, 2, 1. Let's get ready to mambo! My dad did not respond. He does not have a phone though, so he's no way of downloading podcasts. Alright, who wants to go first? We've got a remote control. This is how we're going to dictate who talks. If you don't have the remote, you can't talk. You can put your hand up, or you can sort of say, but I have something to come in. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right,
Dad goes first.
Dad goes first. Here's the remote. I'm going to pass it over to him.
The question is, why does David Attenborough travel the world in an airplane to exotic locations when he backs Extinction Rebellion?
Okay, if you didn't hear that, Dad asked why did David Attenborough travel across the world on a plane when he backs
Extinction Rebellion.
Extinction
Rebellion.
Oh, Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah,
Okay,
what
first
I'm
of all-
saying is he's all for saving the planet, but he'll travel in first class on aeroplanes regularly around the world.
What is Extinction Rebellion?
Ooh. It's,
Anyone know?
well, Dad should really say, but
You on you go. Dillis, you on you go.
it's a group of people that got together that are fighting against
I don't know what.
different
Global
global warming and different environmental issues.
Oh, so it's extinction of humans. He's fighting against. Okay. And animals and wildlife.
As a namesake, rebelling against extinction.
Go ahead.
Yeah, basically some people would term them as environmental terrorists, but of course that is a terrorist is only a terrorist until they become a
Terrorist?
terror.
I don't know.
Until they become into power.
Well, surely a terrorist. Okay, sorry, I shouldn't interrupt. Alright, so who's going to take the remote first for why we think David Attenborough does this? Alright, Connor, let's hear it.
Mine's not an argument for or against. I just want to clarify a few things. So, an aeroplane, he's travelling a lot around the world on an aeroplane. If he was to travel by boat, by car, or by other means of transport, how much more efficient or less damage to the environment would he actually be doing?
I think he'd be a lot more efficient if he's travelling by public transport, such as a train, a bicycle, for example. Even
He's
cars.
70
I
side.
think
He's older.
I
He's
think
in his
it's-
80s.
He's not. He's 91 or
90s.
93. He's in his 90s anyway. He's doing darn well for his age. But we've got to remember, he's not flying to and fro sort of every month, every 2 or 3 months, is he?
Mm-hmm.
I dispute
And
that. I
also-
think he is.
I think he's flying a lot.
Even if he's going quite a lot, maybe it's worth it because of what he's learning and the message he's able to get out there. Because I'll tell you, the one thing that's happening in
Mum,
Great Britain at the moment
speaking to
is
us.
the plastic issue, and I think his movies on the turtles and the dolphins and the sea life getting caught up in the plastic around beer cans, etc., has had an enormous effect, even on people that are not normally really that environmentally au fait, probably like me.
Mm-hmm. I think that makes sense. I agree. I think that his message and how many people he the fact that you guys know about, or me, all Americans know about Blue Planet and all this sort of stuff goes on.
We're not Americans, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't say you were. I think the fact that they all know about these things makes a big difference, and that's almost like a small price to pay for the big potential change.
But the Extinction Rebellion's mainly focused on getting the governments to change their views. So although they should be showing what they're doing, the biggest thing is they want the governments to admit that there is a climate problem and that there is a emergency at the moment with it.
Absolutely, yes.
No, I don't know what airlines Sir Attenborough flies with. However, I do know many airlines you can pay extra to make your flight carbon neutral, and maybe that might be an option that he always elects to go for.
Not completely.
I just want to highlight that my wife spoke of her phone with that argument.
That's fine. Hey, you've all got phones. Research something. Add to the topic because we don't know all information at the moment. The carbon neutral thing is all they do is they go like plant a tree or something. So it's like, yeah, you pay to have a neutral footprint. All it means is they put that money, a little bit extra money, into reducing the footprint. So it could be anything. You know, it wouldn't necessarily be reducing.
Still,
They're still creating pollution.
That's still better than not doing that.
Yeah,
it's an
fair.
option, he does it.
What would be the alternative then to spread the message to the world about what's it, Extinction
Rebellion.
Brilliant.
Well,
They're not.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, what's the alternative? They're not doing it to the world. They're just a particular group that has taken on upon themselves to get together like-minded people to campaign so that the governments will start to listen to what they're saying.
So let's refer back to Dad's question. It was, do we think it's right that he does that, or what was the wording?
Yes, as we've talked about, this Sir Attenborough, Sir David Attenborough, he's really the focal point for this. He's well respected. There's been a common select committee talking to him about it in London. He's 97 years old. He's an ecologist. He's, is he? How old is he?
I think it's 91 or 93.
Oh, I thought it was older than that. There you go. But I think he himself says he shouldn't be using planes to travel about, but he does. The likes of Emma Thompson, the actress,
she's another
she
one.
flew over to take part in the demonstration in London
for a
and flew
year.
back again to America.
Yeah.
But David Attenborough says about he said to the government they should be increasing the price of flights, which is fine. Increase the price of flights, which will reduce the number of travellers, but then you're creating a bigger economic divide of the people that can afford to fly
Exactly.
and the poorer people. So he's saying make less cheap flights so people can't fly to Spain or America
or
more
wherever.
easily, but rich people will be able to do it. So then you're increasing the divide that only the rich can get to do.
So
these
David
things.
Attenborough and his children, his grandchildren, great-grandchildren, whatever, they will never be stopped doing that because they're wealthy people and they can afford it. Normal, ordinary people, and I'm not talking even about people that are very, very hard up, I'm talking about even the ordinary people that actually have got some money coming into their house would not be able to afford to do that. They're following.
Do you think he drives a Tesla?
Really, should anybody?
I wonder
So
what
do you think he drives a Tesla?
Shall we find out?
I don't imagine he
He
drives.
probably doesn't drive anymore, yeah, no.
But yeah.
Not that it gets driven.
If it was any other average Joe going out to the ocean and speaking about the plastic in it, which has been going on for years still, nobody would be, I don't
You're
think,
right.
caring as much.
Yeah.
We've got somebody like Attenborough who has got that public eye on him, speaking about it, and it has raised the point, as we are discussing right now.
Uh-huh.
So is it right for him to be flying everywhere? No, but it is necessary, I believe, to get the message
Yeah.
spread to a wider audience.
And people are listening to him, and he is a national treasure in Britain. He's well known throughout the world, and he's listened to it.
It's like he's got to a point where he's no longer leading by example. He doesn't need to do that. He's leading at a point where people respect, as you said, respect him, and he can be looked upon. Yes, he might not be doing exactly what everyone else needs to be doing, but him doing that is required to get the message across. Alright, to sum up, dads, hands up, or let's say eyes, Hands up if we think it is right for him to fly on a plane to all in the world multiple times a month, probably.
To lecture us.
To lecture us, exactly. Hands up if you think it is good. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you guys agree? Dad agrees? Okay, we all agree. It's unanimous.
No.
Everyone, you don't agree?
I'm
So you're against? Okay, so my dad and my mum are against.
I'm in between.
Yeah.
I've not made up my mind.
Do you guys
Just
think
like-
he should stand his grounds and not go on planes?
Yes.
Yes, I think he's got to that stage that he knows enough that he doesn't have to still be doing that. If he is still doing it, I don't know.
He can, if he goes to
But
conferences
guys,
and wherever in the world, he
doesn't
can
need
do it
to.
by video. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to jump on a plane.
And
That's a good
to
point.
be fair, also,
Excellent point.
he's 91 or 93, isn't he? So he'd probably prefer to do that as well. Not have to jump on a plane and fly. Mind you, he's not doing it by EasyJet or Ryanair, is he?
No.
He's doing it on
And he's not doing economy,
I don't
so he's
know.
taking up more
one
room.
of the better, more comfortable flights, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, good point about the video conference. He's getting to the age that you can manage that now.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope he at least donates to carbon footprint or whatever that is.
Yeah.
How money goes.
Hope his money, doesn't go straight back. Yeah, and did you find out what car he drives?
He doesn't drive. He's never driven. He's never held a license.
Oh, there we go. David
So
Attenborough's
he's
never had a
actually
license.
been an environmentalist all his life.
But I bet he owns a whole bunch of land and cows or something.
I think you'll probably find that he
Methane
is
gas from
married
there.
to royalty, or he's not
No.
married, but I mean, people in his family that have been married to royalty.
Yeah. Ugh.
All
right.
It's Attenborough.
Well,
Dynasty.
there's certainly a dynasty in the journalism and TV presenting world of the Attenboroughs
Mhm.
and filmmaking and whatnot.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I really dig the hippies that are out there living by the beach
Yeah.
in a hut and just getting on with life, and they can genuinely
But
talk
that's a
about
bit pretentious as well, though.
Well, I don't think
It's easy
pretentious. I think
Well,
it's, you know,
no, it
But
is
it's
a bit
impossible for
pretentious
everyone
because
to do
life
that.
cannot do that.
Yeah.
Exactly, so
it's
that's
absolutely impossible.
they're in a
unrealistic.
privileged position
It's
because they can
unrealistic.
do that. You and I couldn't go away and do that. Certainly not when we were younger, because we had a family to bring up. You know, you had to earn a buck. I had to sort of get a job as well. We had to pay to bring our children up. So it'd be easy for us all to go off and live on a beach.
Yeah. It's
But
a
you don't
reality
like to
that
live on a
the thing
beach
I
and
have a couple
live
of friends who have
around.
done that recently. They packed up them and the 3 kids in a van and traveling around right now. And like, yeah, it seems all good. Yeah, you're doing your part for the environment. But you don't realize that everything you have in your van that's allowed you to do this has been manufactured and produced and built by someone else who can't do that.
Usually people are getting paid
interesting.
50p a day in
Yeah.
foreign
Do you want a really
countries.
fun fact?
Fun fact.
He helped to televise snooker on BBC Two when he ran the production team of BBC Two, and he was one that pushed for snooker to be televised.
His father was
There you go.
one of the first correspondents, if not the first correspondents,
Cool.
with Auschwitz was
Yeah, that's right.
Mm.
Liberated.
liberated.
I think that's a better fact than yours, Ruth.
You are trumped by
Neither were
Holocaust.
fun. Neither were fun, but that's better.
Last of all, the Americans, Donald Trump has withdrawn from the Paris Agreement, which is all about
The environment, yeah.
the environment and carbon.
Carbon. What's it called?
Footprint?
Rainy kids.
Yeah, so they've withdrawn from it. The biggest and most powerful nation in the world has withdrawn from it. So what is the, where are we in relation to that?
Yeah, it's hard to find the
It's
point
hard.
sometimes.
300 million people.
50, yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
Good starting point. All right, who's up for the second topic? Come on, someone.
I'll throw out one there. It might get a bit complex.
Okay.
Actually, can I just say a wee point? Round the dinner table, we're usually much more argumentative.
Well, yeah, I like to be argumentative. Just try not to talk over each other. That's all. Which you're doing
Which
every moment
one?
of this
Yeah,
podcast.
sorry.
I love you.
This is a more personal than example of something in the news, but GMO foods, good or bad? I personally think GMO foods are fantastic, and we should be promoting GMO foods throughout the world.
Explain to us what GMO foods are.
So it's genetically modified foods. This can go from the simple banana, which was genetically modified from a seed-bearing fruit to a non-seed-bearing fruit, as we know now, to much more complex, where you're actually changing the genetic sequence of some fruits or vegetables so that they ripen quicker or they grow larger or the plant produces more fruit more frequently.
And they're the correct shape.
What are the long-lasting effects of that on a person of humanity?
Well, the question would be, why would it cause long-lasting effects? All you're doing is you're changing the genetic code. You're not adding anything different into it. You're using the same molecules that the plant already has. You're just increasing the production of one protein or a number of proteins, so that the plant is more
Is more likely to go a certain gene direction.
Yeah, it's going to go bigger or feed more. You're not adding any synthetic chemicals. You're just increasing its natural production of a certain protein.
So what you're saying is that if nations do have droughts and no food, etc., then GMO food can be imported into that.
If you can create
country,
if you can create a food that requires less water to grow by slightly changing its genetics or changing it.
Do they not also do it for the sheep? Sorry, Mark.
That's all right. I think the population of the world has grown exponentially. I think relying on foods that, for example, die quicker or become bad quicker, or have been, I think that's unsustainable for the populations that we have, specifically now in the growing population in non-industrialised nations. GMO foods, if we didn't have them, we would not be able to support poorer nations who undergo famine or natural disasters. The reason we are able to support those countries is because of GMO foods that we're able to send, that are able to sustain, or at least sustain, nutrition for weeks, if not months, during that period. I think in terms of the question about the long-term effects, as Connor said, you're just highlighting a single trait of that fruit or food, for example, shelf life or size, which, okay, I get the whole idea of manipulating genes in humans would obviously be bad, but we have to look at ways in which we can support life at a growing number, and people are bigger now than they always have been, so people need more calories to sustain that, but also we've got a ageing population. There's more people who are between the ages of 60 and 100 than there ever have been, and that's going to keep growing because of advancements in medicine. As a result, we need to have advancements in nutrition, because the nature of it is that as Britain and in Western countries, we do not really produce a huge amount of food for our sustainability. So we need to get them elsewhere, and taking into effect that they need to be either bigger fruit or bigger foods or last longer due to transport, then I think it's a necessity. Otherwise, if we did not have GMO foods, I think you'll find that we would have more famine, more disaster, and more higher death rates due to famine and these natural disasters than we would do if we didn't have GMO foods.
Good comments. Hard to argue with that.
Can somebody explain to me what the argument against GMO foods are?
Well, I'm not 100% sure, maybe Connor or Mark can correct me on this. Do they use hormones to dictate the genes?
It depends. I mean, GMO foods covers a broad range of methods.
Okay, is there hormones used at some point, or steroids or any steroids or hormones?
To my knowledge, there's no hormones in fruit or vegetables.
But surely their makeup is built on that sort of stuff. No?
You would give hormones to livestock,
but not to
but
vegetables.
you're not inserting hormones into a tomato
What's the
plant.
argument? People are that
So
so
I'm
against
trying
it.
to determine
You think
this.
it's
It's maybe someone could look up
harmless?
the phone. One other thing is, a vegetable that grows bigger will maybe require certain nutrients differently. So they'll end up absorbing different stuff from the soil. So therefore, that soil that you use would end up losing a certain amount of nutrients, and then maybe having an over more of the other nutrients. So you'd have less chance of being able to grow different crops in the future, or you'd have to replace those nutrients
No.
constantly because there's not a nice cycle of it, because nobody does crop rotation with GMO foods and all that sort of stuff.
They
Is
don't
that
do
not
crop
right?
rotation, so they don't leave it fallow for a year. and
Most
then-
people, most big GMOs, big fast
Don't-
production things,
no.
rarely do crop rotations. That's more organic stuff.
So can I ask, what
Makes
about the
sense.
rapeseed oil? Is that tied up in the GMO stuff that's happening?
I don't know what
So
you're
you know,
trying to.
there's the rapeseed, the big fields of yellow that we've got over in Fife, and there's a bit of controversy about all the rapeseed. isn't
That
there?
could just be because we're just
I don't know.
that whole land's done of rapeseed, and then maybe it's the same thing I'm talking about the crop rotation. It's not re-rotated, so it's the same nutrients, and then you have to replenish them with synthetic nutrients a lot of the time to kind of keep that going. Ruth had a point.
No.
Okay, Declan.
I have got a few though from.
So I'm just going to try and spice this up a little bit with the conversation.
I
Okay.
think she was the wrong.
What is better then? Should we be then looking at more GMO foods or organic foods?
Okay, I like the spice, but I'm going to hold you back because this is a big topic already. Refer back to Mumblecast's old topic on organic food if you want to hear about that. And we'll stick with the GMO, what that is and how that fits, because that's a massive topic.
Okay,
otherwise.
if it's not looked after carefully and managed carefully and overseen by governments, what are the chances then of, for instance, pollination and cross-pollination between the plants that have been genetically modified, for instance, and normal plants out in the wild, and the fact that there could end up being cross-pollination, which would then change the way the plants grow in the wild, therefore losing the original type of plant.
Ooh, nice. I like that.
Very good, yeah.
I don't know how that works, but Connor maybe help us.
Not
Connor
the
is a
reason why-
geneticist, by the way, so he has some degree of knowledge of this.
I did genetics at university, but I'm not a botanist. My understanding is when you say cross-pollination, do you mean pollination between different species of plant?
Well, it depends, because it depends on what you've changed. So if you've changed the genetics of a type of plant, but the pollination, so it's the same plant in terms of, for instance, bees and birds and things see the same plant, but one's been genetically modified, which the birds and bees can't quite tell, and then they cross-pollinate because they've gone to one and then go to another one out in the wild.
So
So for instance, strawberry plants, for instance, say there's a wee farm that tried the GMO and they were creating bigger and juicier strawberries, and then you had the strawberries out in the wild or on the farm next door that didn't do that and they were against that. What would be stopping the GMO flowers from then those getting in surgery with the pollination? I'm a primary school teacher and teach pollination, so this is something I teach the children, which is really that's why I'm talking about it.
cross-species pollination, there's not really something.
No, but it'd be the same species. It's the same species of flower, so it's the same strawberry. You're just changing a slight DNA. The
Yeah.
flowers and birds wouldn't necessarily know the
No,
difference
they
between
wouldn't.
those.
I don't know enough. I want to say
Or an animal comes and eats it, for instance. Okay, so say an animal eats it, and then it goes and takes it off, or
And it puts it somewhere
puts
else.
it- yes.
Like that.
and then it grows in the wild. Then what if that species is then more dominant because it lasts longer because we've changed it and it wipes out the original species, and then something happens.
Okay. So I don't have I don't know the answer to that, and that's probably a lot more complicated, or it might be a very simple answer. But I would take a very simple GMO, or what's technically a GMO, is the banana.
Mhm.
So the banana, for probably thousands, if not millions of years, had seeds in it.
Mhm.
Now it no longer has seeds. Has anyone ever had a banana with seeds in it? No, because we have genetically modified that in such a way through farming to not have seeds.
Mhm.
But you can still find bananas in the wild with seeds in it.
Mhm.
Now there's something like 146 different types of bananas in the wild. We only eat maybe 3 of them, and none of them you'll find seeds in, but you will find seeds in our bananas. If that was the case, because of the mass production of bananas that we do, you probably wouldn't find them anymore. So I'm
But
just
we
using
don't-
that as
we
an
don't know that
example.
yet.
Yes, we don't, and I would
There's
need
not
to.
enough. There's not been enough. There's not enough history into it and data that. Yes, we've got short banks of data that show it, but we don't actually know the long-term effects of it.
I would need to know more exactly on how, because I imagine different plants are genetically modified in different methods. Some may not. Some may not produce seeds or pollen with the same genetics as they are growing. As many plants don't do that. It depends on what stage they're modifying the genetics.
But then there's somebody that's got to be overseeing all that, and there's nobody. I don't think there'll be anybody, one governing body that oversees the use of GMO and how easy it is to use that. Because I think you probably can do it quite easily, and actually, compared to, you could probably do it more easily now. And who's actually making sure that somebody's in control of that, and what are they genetically modifying and how are they changing it?
I think since GMO is quite a topic of debate, there will be some organisation that is overseeing the use of it due to the sensitive ethical issues. There will be an organisation, someone can have a look at it and be able to correct me. There has to be an organisation that overlooks the use of it, because it's got a lot of implications legally. There'll be something overlooking the use of it. Otherwise, you would have it going kind of riot. The other thing is pollination to other farms. Will that really be an issue, considering that the farmers themselves will be in charge of the seeds that they plant, rather than it's kind of like a wild pollination and crossbreeding? So there'll be less reliance on kind of bees and other plant life cross-pollinating from one field to another, because the farmers will plant seeds for the crops that they want to grow, and those seeds will be from a certain source. And a lot of these sources will be very well controlled, specifically when they become to non-GMO, because if they're saying they're organic, then there are regulations about what they say is organic, so they have to fulfill those regulations, which means they will not be pollinated from a GMO crop potentially. So I think the issue of cross-pollination isn't too much of an issue in controlled food-producing fields and food-producing companies. I think the issue potentially is the pollination of wilder versions of the plant or fruit-bearing plant.
Okay, interesting. Last couple of points, then we'll round this one up.
Yeah, I don't know whether I've ever eaten a piece of food that's genetically modified.
Banana.
Can anyone? Well, I don't know. Is it on labelling?
No, it's not legally. You don't have to legally label GMO foods, so you wouldn't actually know if you're eating a GMO food or not.
Guess you can make some noises.
I would 100% guarantee that you have eaten something that can be described as genetically modified.
GMO foods are essentially scientists playing God at survival of the fittest with fruits.
It's simple agriculture for years and years and years. The broad definition of it, simple agriculture.
You're being naive.
So what I'm saying,
the
main thing GMOs do is they create plants that produce either herbicides or pesticides themselves, against herbicides.
Whole country or population was something that would change.
No, I think you're more naive than I am.
But anyway, just to wrap this up in relation to the question I asked, because and this is topical, because we're leaving the European Union. Because we're leaving the European Union,
My dad just been asked
who
5 minutes
regulates
into the
food,
remote.
and we then go into the world trade. How do we know that the food that we're now trading with America or China or whatever isn't or isn't genetically modified? How do we know that?
You don't. An American Food Institute is nowhere near as strict or as controlled as ours.
Exactly.
Massive.
What about this chlorinated chicken? That's what I'm want to know.
You're right.
Not
Chlorinated
happy about that. Can I just ask very quickly before we close this subject, because I don't know very much about it, so I can.
Everyone's speaking to this remote I'm handing around. It's weird.
It's a personal microphone. So I would like to know which countries do it the most.
Probably. You know what? I don't know. Probably the country that creates the most food.
Okay.
Sounds silly, but
I do think there are concerns, especially if we do leave the EU and we start trading more with America and China, etc. I am concerned about things like this chlorinated chicken and whatnot coming in.
So chlorinated chicken isn't GMO. That's something else
No, I
altogether.
know,
So that has a big issue
No,
with what
I
Dad was saying
completely
about the
understand
trade. Not the question that was asked, but definitely a very valid point.
Uh-huh.
Do we think GMO food is good? Wait, Audrey has something to say. Hit us up. Hit us up, Hen.
I'm just going to say the top 5 countries growing GMOs in terms of crop area are the US, Brazil, Argentina, Canada, and India.
There you go.
There we go.
Canada's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thrown out Canada there.
Well,
It's
it's
those
Big country.
big country.
Those maple trees, I tell you.
So the way I just looked up real quick, the non-GMO project basically say that GMOs are typically used to reduce or to have a better response against herbicides and to produce their own pesticides, not for necessarily science and things yet, but that is in the works. But that usually means that farmers will use more pesticides to kill and herbicides to kill all weeds and insects, which again contaminates the ground and creates lifelong, if not almost 100 decades long problems of the soil,
Yeah.
which is a big problem if you're thinking
Almost
about
irreversible.
nature in general, how to
So-
keep a nice balance.
So maybe the actual idea of genetically modified fruit or vegetables isn't wrong, but the method that they're using at the moment of genetically modification
Yes.
is not great.
Are we going to vote on it?
Yes, let's vote. So the vote is going to be for Connor's original question was, do we think GMO food is good or bad, or should it be used?
So, what's the question?
Is it good?
Is it good? Hands up if you think GMO food is good. We have Declan, Mark, my dad, Willie, and Connor all saying it is, and then we've got Audrey. Oh, Audrey's on the fence. Liam, Ruth, and Mum are all don't think it's good.
I just want to say, I think I agree, big crops like maybe corn and soybeans and things like that for GMO is good. Yeah. So
Okay.
crops that are used widely and produced massively, such as corn and soybeans, rice, things like that.
It's good.
GMO
Potatoes.
is good. That's kind of what I think.
Okay, interesting.
But then, you say that.
Topic
What?
over. Topic over. I'm going to stop it because we're on that one for over 10
Okay,
minutes.
I've got a fun
Alright, Ruth's got a
question.
topic for us. Perfect. Hand her the remote.
I've got a fun question.
Where's the remote?
Don't need the remote.
You need the remote.
You need it here.
You just
Okay, what is better, rugby or CrossFit?
Please define what you mean by better.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
What would people rather do in their time? Play rugby or do CrossFit?
Okay, I think I actually
Or
could win this one.
or should I change it slightly, Audrey?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. If you want rugby to win, yes, change it so rugby will win. I will probably agree with you.
Watch.
I think maybe we should come at it more from like a fitness level or like
Which is better for
community kind of feel or kind of overall.
I think we could just incorporate that into our.
Okay.
We could define better individually.
This is a
Yeah,
different,
okay.
This is a different remote, just FYI.
I know.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Now, I have tried CrossFit and I played rugby for years and years and years. I don't currently do CrossFit. I haven't done it for a few years. I go to the gym regularly, even though my dad won't believe me. But the biggest thing that I miss when I'm in the gym or when I'm doing other exercise is the team activity, is the walking with and getting, and you know that friendship that you have with 15 or more of the boys in your team, and I don't think you get that same effect at CrossFit.
Okay, so here's Liam's sales pitch. I disagree. I think I have played rugby for almost the same amount of time as you. Better periods more, periods less. I feel like I have had more camaraderie, better friends, better lifelong friends through my CrossFit than I've ever had at rugby, ever. And I will die being better friends with the people I've had at CrossFit and rugby. Now, what that's down to is maybe it's more because CrossFit has a lot of people who have very similar beliefs and similar intentions, etc., which is good. So that's what makes it a good community. With regards to fitness, I don't believe there is a better way of fitness to include and exclude or not exclude anybody. I think it is totally scalable for everyone of every different type of body shape, form, ability. We do teens, we do people over 60, we do normal people, we do people with disabilities, people with missing limbs.
People over 17.
We do everything. Okay, rugby although can be tailored towards other things, is not possible. Now, when it comes to watching, viewing, and actually to some degree playing, I do prefer rugby. But you don't play CrossFit, you do CrossFit for most of the time, and it's a program rather than a competition. The competitions come secondary. You don't do rugby to be fit or to have friends or this sort of stuff. It's a sport, which is different to CrossFit, which is a
I
program.
disagree with that.
I disagree. I think you do
No,
it
but
for
Mum, have you ever
Raise your
done?
hand.
Could you ever do rugby? No, you couldn't.
Oh, no,
But you could do CrossFit.
because of my age. Well, yeah, okay.
But yeah, as in I could do
Yeah.
I can do CrossFit
But
when I was
if
4. I
women
can do
could have
CrossFit when
played
I'm
rugby,
90.
If it was
All right, Mark's put his hand up, so he
gets.
gets the remote.
I
I
think
would have.
I'm going to look at this in as unbiased as possible. I think CrossFit as a modality of exercise has been fantastic for a lot of people who have found their niche and what they want to do, and it's created almost like this kind of fitness sport, which again, if it gets more people off their backsides and gets them exercising, then that's great. I think for those who can't play contact rugby, you've got people who can play touch rugby. There are other forms, and so it is scalable. We're now having rugby in Edinburgh and in Scotland that is aimed at older people who are almost like from couch to 5k kind of thing, where they're doing completely inactive people are playing touch rugby to get them active in the community, and they're having like walking rugby, which is great. So it is completely scalable on that side as well. I think I've seen it both from a performance aspect in terms of rugby and also as a social aspect, whereby the performance aspect for me is probably becoming much more dangerous and much more unsustainable due to concussion rates and the long-term effects that we're going to see the same effect that we have seen with American football. However, I've seen people play rugby not for the rugby's sake, but completely because of the mates that they have, and they play rugby to get to the end of the game and then have that camaraderie afterwards for the hour, 2 hours afterwards, and they bevy and they have a great time. And then decades later, they all look back in their rugby times and they don't speak about individual games, they speak about the friendship, the fun that's associated with it. So for me, I'm looking at I think rugby swings it ever so slightly, but I think CrossFit.
So what was it that swung it for the rugby? I didn't really get it.
I think personally that it's more for a large proportion of the population, it is more not achievable but accessible. I think
America doesn't play rugby. You know, a
But
lot of Asia doesn't play rugby.
yeah.
Africa doesn't play rugby. They all do CrossFit.
in terms of accessibility, it's not just about the number of people doing it, it's about what
Small
people perceive it. So again, it's a perception thing.
Absolute bullshit. It's so expensive though. CrossFit's really expensive.
It's for us in Edinburgh, it's £70 a month
You take it.
to do CrossFit, compared to rugby it might be £120 a year. Yes, you have to buy kit for that, but you have to do the same for CrossFit. I think you get a lot from it. I just think for the majority of the population, they would choose rugby, and then with the scale of rugby from from the walking rugby all the way through to full contact, then they would choose to do CrossFit, personally.
At the end of the day, the very different activities. Those sports. I really enjoyed CrossFit. I really enjoy rugby. I like to go to CrossFit to improve my rugby. I guess rugby doesn't really quite improve my CrossFit, but CrossFit is definitely something that any athlete in a sport, you can go to CrossFit to improve your sport, and it will do that.
Yep, I think it's fair. I think Declan's going to make the whole point. Basically, CrossFit has been adapted or adopted by a number of the big teams now. New Zealand have done a whole documentary on it, or the All Blacks.
You know, that's as a fitness regime.
And that's what CrossFit is.
Yeah,
CrossFit isn't a sport. CrossFit's a fitness regime. CrossFit is a thing that gets you a better balance, better accuracy, better.
CrossFit here.
Yes, and as I said, there's no versus. As a sport, rugby is better. Rugby is obviously a better sport because it's a sport. CrossFit became, or was tailored to be a sport, but actually it's a fitness program to get people fitter and stronger, which it does better than rugby.
I agree.
If you know me, this is going to be weird to say, but if I was a parent, I'd prefer my kid to do CrossFit than rugby, Because right round this room, you've got two.
We have four children who played rugby their whole
Who
life.
played rugby their whole life. 2 of them are retired before the age of 30.
Yeah.
30 through rugby injuries. We've got 2 still going on, which are, I've got a few injuries here. They are,
Yeah.
one of them seeing the physio before every single game still, you know. Yeah, exactly. And
One does CrossFit and
one
rugby.
does CrossFit and rugby,
Moving
and
to
he's
the same level.
doing alright just now. So, longevity of carrying it on, I do think CrossFit is better, but rugby, I think socially and opportunity-wise, is fantastic for people doing it for
What opportunities, Max?
opportunities of just meeting people from all aspects of life, from lower class to upper class. You see the people in rugby clubs, you know.
All different walks of life.
Clubs have been going on for hundreds of years, you know. My club's going on for their 100-year anniversary next year, you know, more than a CrossFit gym.
Let me
I
pause this real quick. So,
But
look at
when-
CrossFit compared to Les Mills or CrossFit compared to yoga. It's massive. I'm not saying it's anything that says yoga yet, but this has happened in, 15 years?
Yeah.
And rugby's gone on for hundreds of years. And
But-
you actually asking this question.
no, well CrossFit
It's a
is
fad, though.
essentially
It's that
essentially
It's 15-year fad has gone pretty strong.
It's that
CrossFit is a more is a circuit training that has been has certain moves put in, more Olympic lifting and stuff.
Again, so
What
it's
people
hard
are
So it's
because
a form of training,
we have
but it's a form of training.
we have 6 people who haven't done
I think
CrossFit.
as
So it's hard for me to
Connor
properly
said
say.
earlier, it's a training session that will improve anything.
No,
Rugby players do
Everything.
CrossFit,
of course
right?
CrossFit.
It will,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
got to look at it as we said, is it better? You got to see
What's better?
what
to me
is it better. I think socially, community wise, I do think rugby beats CrossFit on that aspect.
I think I don't say I say you've got a bit. I think if you had done CrossFit, you may into the level I have, you may change your mind there. But I'll understand that you definitely have had that right now. Mum's
Get the remote.
well, I'm
Right,
the
okay,
host, so I can do it.
I was just going to say something very simply, which you've all said in one way or the other, but what Declan was saying, rugby is much more inclusive.
I disagree
It's,
entirely.
wait, you can't disagree until I finish my argument.
Well, I can't actually finish that.
Oh no, you told
Okay,
me I'm
continue.
not allowed to interrupt.
I can because I'm the host.
Okay, you can. Oh, can you now?
Yep.
I'm your mother though.
Yeah, but
Can you interrupt your
I'm
mother?
basically
Shh,
what's
don't
his face
interrupt
here?
me, Don't interrupt.
Who was
Say,
the-
Excuse me, don't.
I'm Parkinson in
somebody
this
speaking.
situation.
Well, he should be. What Parkinson?
He interrupted, did he not? I don't know. Carry on.
Anyway,
John
no,
Humphreys.
no,
That'll do.
no, it's not. It's thinking of.
Doesn't
Jeremy.
matter. Continue with your
Thinking of
point.
Jeremy Banks. Okay, my point is, it's much more inclusive. It starts at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
It does. At the moment, you start when you're, well, meant to be 8, but you lot started when you were 6. So it's
CrossFit
something
starts
that
at the age
kids
of
are
3.
doing. Well, you can see it.
Rugby
We're
talk
talking
starts
about-
the age of 2 now, too.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
We start the same
Stop
age.
interrupting me. Let me finish what I'm saying. There's no point in asking me to say something.
Get on with it.
So I'm saying it's inclusive. It starts when you're very young. There is something about making friends, and it's also a community thing. You've made friends because you've been involved in the CrossFit, which is more particular, and it's people similar backgrounds to you, similar jobs, etc. Maybe the particular club you were involved in Scotland didn't have the people that were maybe more your type of people, but there are different clubs that probably would have suited you better. So that can vary from club to club, area to area, the types of people that are involved and how much part of the community you are. However, it's also something that thousands of people can watch and enjoy and be part of. So the whole family, so you can be part of it, but your mums, your dads, your brothers, your sisters, your nieces, your nephews, your friends of both sexes can come along. And also it is very inclusive. And I think that's really relevant point. I don't think CrossFit's a bad thing. I think it's really good for fitness. But you know, when I talk about you being in CrossFit, majority of people don't know what it is. Okay, I'm talking about Edinburgh, but
That's
majority of people don't know what it
And
is.
I think
unless
I would
they're
put you in
already
that same
into-
category because of what you
into
listed.
sports.
I would put you in that same category because of what you've listed.
Well,
I'm in that category.
Right.
I believe I'm in that category. I don't properly know what CrossFit is.
I do CrossFit and I still coach rugby. And I think the biggest difference, physically you get the same kind of satisfaction from the end of a workout CrossFit session, the end of a rugby match. You still have that similar satisfaction of physically working out. However, you don't have the same team goal, and though you have team WODs, whatever, you don't have the same team goal as beating another team, competitive edge, and it has a more competitive edge as a whole team trying to aim for the same goal, which is for it to win a game. And I think that's the biggest difference I've found with CrossFit and rugby. And although you've said socially for CrossFit you've made loads of friends, I think it just depends on your personality and things, because obviously mine would be rugby because I've made all my friends through rugby.
Again, it's what you put more time into.
It.
You
And
put
I
more
think
time to rugby, you get more friends. Exactly. So the social thing is apparent in both. I don't think.
But I think
you guys don't have a social thing because you don't do CrossFit.
But I do think there is a social thing in terms of a rugby club where you get to know more of the family orientation, because you don't have different CrossFit gyms will have maybe different aspects of it, and maybe it's just my experience of the ones we've got. They're not as, they're still family oriented because the kids come along, but there's something about it. You just get more team. You get to know more people because you're playing more games. You're every week you're playing a game against somebody. You've got a team goal. It's not individual as such. It's not just pairs. There's a whole team that you're looking out for, and competing at that level is really exciting. And that's something that I personally miss from CrossFit, having that working together as a goal. And I prefer the team workouts because that brings that unity, and there's not enough of that because it is very much self. But it is a workout.
Again,
I'm going to hand over to Connor.
Yes, Connor, go, and I'll end our points, and then we'll go.
Just as a wee argument against, not against, but in relation to what we'd said, CrossFit being a relatively new
Sport.
let's say sport, maybe it will in 100 years be like that. Maybe it will be communities and clubs working together with fitness, and it might be, and I completely understand the social aspect, and it will build. But basically, what I was going to say at the end of the day is the best rugby players in the world will do CrossFit. The best CrossFit players in the world won't do rugby. I mean, take from that what you will, but at the end of the day, we're arguing two very different things.
Apples and pears.
It is apples and pears.
Different.
I love pears, and apples are alright too.
You could say
So,
football and CrossFit then for that matter, couldn't you?
Yeah, CrossFit doesn't really.
I chose those two because they're the two ones that we probably do round the house.
So
Liam and I, we both do the CrossFit and the rugby.
Just because I know I'm a CrossFitter, and people that listen to this are my friends that are CrossFitters, I'll back it up as CrossFit. The best I've ever felt CrossFit is during team competitions, and I feel the same though what I get from rugby, which isn't as frequent. It's not weekly competitions, but every time I compete with my friends, I get the same feelings I've ever had, and you get just that same bond.
But your
we do people at a young age. I've done my CrossFit Kids that takes people from toddlers all the way up. It's not a spectator sport. It's not going to be a spectator sport because it's. But you can't. You just have to find the right competition.
Yeah, but it's hard to find the right competition. You have to pay quite a lot of money.
That's
to
because it's just a small sport and all this sort of stuff. That's because it's the way it goes.
But it's not accessible
but
to
it's
everybody.
It's the same as any other Olympic sport. Every Olympic sport has the same
Rugby
thing.
never
It
used to
has
be
a price
accessible.
barrier. It has movement and stuff.
What
I will say, the last thing I will say is that if I wanted to get fit and strong for life, to push back the nursing home, to learn about how to eat better, how to kind of live longer and healthier, I would do CrossFit over rugby. That's because rugby isn't going to teach me this stuff. If I wanted to do a sport with a whole bunch of kids from a young age, yes, I want my kids to play rugby. I'll tell them to do CrossFit so they can be good at rugby, but I'm going to get them to do rugby.
Do all crossfitters eat chicken and broccoli every day 4 times a day?
No, but a lot of the high elite level ones will eat a well balanced diet.
Well, but
remember, the elite of them is like playing the All Blacks. All Blacks will do things certain ways. So will the elite CrossFitters because they're elite.
We're teasing you now.
The elite CrossFitters are some of the fittest people in the world.
And you'll find that some rugby players will have the exact same diet, if not more stricter diets, and more adherent to macronutrients than some CrossFit people. So it's
yeah.
very different. What I will say on the last point, CrossFit is a modality of exercise which will prove to be fantastic in years to come, because people who are doing it and more people do it, stronger they'll be, everything to do with health and performance, it's going to be brilliant for them. The unfortunate thing for CrossFit is that the negative stories that come from it always will trump the good stories that come from it. So the nature of the exercises and the injuries, whatever, have been massively overestimated just for that.
Yeah. The US Health Board actually had to put out an apology for a number of different papers that were falsely
because
accusing
the
CrossFit of that.
National Strength Conditioning Association has been sued by CrossFit for false documentation, false findings in journals that have been exaggerated about CrossFit. Now, the only thing I would end on is CrossFit's a very young sport / fitness regime.
It won't last.
I think the nature of it will evolve, it will change. I don't know if it'll be called CrossFit because that's sort of a brand.
Yeah.
But what I will say, the last point, is that rugby probably affects and improves the lives of more people at the minute globally than CrossFit. Not maybe directly from playing, but from watching, going to games, the family orientation, the number of clubs that are there. I think CrossFit will grow in that. It's unfair to compare a 15-year-old
but as in, you can't, exactly. And
but that's where I am at the minute.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Will CrossFit, because CrossFit is a brand name, will that survive, or will it be a total workout kind of thing? Because I really like the idea of the total workout, but will CrossFit as a brand name continue, do you think?
It's weird at the moment because they're already making a shift. It used to be like Forge and Elite Fitness, when they pushed towards the military and towards like the armed forces and the medical services, and now it's moving away from that towards just everyday humans. And I think the idea there was, if we can show that this is good enough for the elite, it'll be good enough for the everyday person. Whereas if they did it the other way around, they couldn't necessarily convince the elite. And it's taken a bit of shift, and people like myself and other CrossFit competitors don't like the shift, because now it's all geared towards getting people fit and healthy rather than getting people elite fit and healthy. So there's a bit of a shift. The CrossFit name, a lot of boxers are already de-affiliating, so they're not holding it out, not paying the fees, doing the same thing. The issue is, we see there's a lot of CrossFit gyms already, is there is a high level of coaching required to do CrossFit, safely, efficiently and well, and CrossFit helps promote that. As soon as you remove that CrossFit barrier, you don't have those requirements, you don't necessarily have those standards up, and that's when the things go to crap, and that's when you see a lot of injuries that have been mentioned.
So how are they going to protect that? So although CrossFit won't have a responsibility for that, who is then going to be overseeing these gyms or these people giving out? They can't. Which rugby does do. Rugby, if you have your name, rugby as a sport, the governing body, anyone that coaches has to have a qualification. Everyone has to have a working with children. You have to have a disclosure. How does CrossFit cover that?
As in, that's like every other gym in the world.
Yeah.
So it's.
But I'm just saying, the difference.
Like CrossFit do already. If you say you're a CrossFit gym, they will sue you. If you say if you're coaching CrossFit, you don't have at least your level 1. You can be fined and taken to court and stuff. So they do those things already, but it's not happening yet in large amounts. Right, one last thing from Connor, and then we'll move on. Oh, done?
No, I think it's all been said.
Okay, cool. Hands up.
Can I ask one more question then? Could you just do the same type of workouts, training that you do, away from CrossFit per se?
Yeah.
And what would you call it then? Just high fitness?
Call it anything.
Just working out.
CrossFit.
It's to me that's known as working out. I don't say I do CrossFit. I say that to people who know what who don't know what CrossFit is, and then they need some sort of explanation. But really, I just do work. I work out. That's all I do really.
Okay.
And I focus on things like intensity and strength, but along with crabbing. It's a whole bunch of stuff really.
So it could be called Liam Fit.
Yes, and in some places there's things like F45, which is similar.
Fit. Hey, there you go. New brand. New.
All right, hands up. Who thinks rugby is better? Okay, so Connor, Ruth, Dad, Mum, Mark, and Declan have all put their hands up. Audrey has not put her hand up. Does she think CrossFit's better?
I just don't have an opinion.
Audrey doesn't have an opinion, and I am going to stand up strong for CrossFit, because if I didn't, then why am I doing it so much? But I do love rugby, so
But
yes,
at the end of the day, we're comparing apples and pears.
I will be doing CrossFit longer than I'll be doing rugby. I'll say that much.
And hopefully into CrossFit after. I do. Finish
Why don't
rugby.
you do it right now? Be better for rugby. Anyone want more? Let's get a light-hearted one. Someone, come on, Dick, and hit us with a light-hearted one.
Okay.
When is it okay to fart in front of your partner?
There's a great one. We had discussion right. Mark has asked
For the first time.
he is asking for a friend, but when is it okay to fart in front of his partner?
Having
I
been
must
married
be-
for 1 week.
Married for 1 week. All right, Declan.
Can I
How long did it
fart
take
at
you
my
to
wife?
fart before you farted? Or how long did it take you to before you farted in front of Audrey?
Negative 365 days.
Audrey probably heard me fart before we started dating, to be honest.
Did that change when you started dating? Did you hold them
No,
on a
I
couple?
didn't hold anything back. Literally.
It's not like roses already.
What was that?
God.
Audrey, your response. How long did you hold back?
Well,
A while.
yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot longer than he did, that's for sure. But when I met him, he thought showering was going in a swimming pool, so.
What do you mean when you met? Till this day.
Did that influence at all how you felt about Declan?
No.
So it didn't really matter.
Even the really smelly ones.
Yeah, even the really smelly ones.
Alright. Okay, my dad, they've been married for 35 years.
35 years?
35 years of marriage, here we go.
Yeah, just be careful, because I will correct you if you say.
When we first got married, neither of us farted, but the dog did.
For 27 of those years.
For a long time. And
Until the first shower
the
came.
both of us blamed the dog
Yeah.
for the smells. That's all I'll say.
So
I will say I never did nor have, but I didn't know. I didn't know that Billy would have to.
Where's some?
After Declan was born.
Thank you, Declan.
The dog.
Oh, Mom!
So it wasn't until after SD died, our beloved dog, that I realised actually he passed on like any other person in the world.
Okay, so I know why Mark's bringing this up, because I brought this up in conversation, and this was my present and past girlfriend. I have never,
So it's the same person.
on purpose, maybe once or twice, not on purpose, farted in front of them, nor they, I. And I feel like it's a barrier to get beyond before you're properly comfortable with them. No, I haven't lived with neither of these.
You can say
People.
Lena's name.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know I can, but I was a Bonnie, depending on who listens to what. And Lena will probably listen to this because somebody's going to tell her.
Oh,
But
is this you
why?
claiming you want Lena to fart in front of you?
No, I'm like, why? Why do you need to? I
Because
don't
it could
think.
stink and ruin the
The
relationship.
comfortability of it.
Well,
Yeah, if you're comfortable, But why? But there's also. But there's also not. But you can also.
I'm
do
not saying
other
fart in
things.
her face. I'm just being like in the same room and just like, oops, sorry dear.
No, all you need to do is go out so you're going to the loo.
That's true.
Yes, and I already go to the loo a lot anyway. I should get checked.
It's like
Exactly.
Everyone in this room is very comfortable farting in front of one another.
I mean,
I wouldn't do it.
I think it is. I agree with Connor. It's you will feel utterly comfortable with someone you can feel happy to fart in front of. I mean, me and Ruth never really probably got comfortable until she hotboxed me in her bed. So one day she farted in bed, and then to my disgust, she then covered my face with the covers so I could enjoy said fart. After that, I knew she was the one.
Did she squeeze your blackheads after?
You don't say that in the best.
That wasn't going to be in this speech. But no, it's generally a feeling of comfort rather than thinking, oh no, I need to fart, what am I going to do? Oh, I'll run to the bathroom. And as Connor said, you could be run to the bathroom 4 or 5 times a night and the person's going to think, what on earth is wrong with you?
I love farting. I mean,
It's
this is not good.
ridiculous.
I'll just say my take is I always try to excuse myself because it's just courtesy but also you should feel comfortable and not embarrassed in front of someone if you do that. So if you happen
Well
to,
said.
If you do,
what's the problem with
Like,
that?
when
But
you
also,
burp,
I do try and
do-
just excuse myself because that's just the nice thing to
polite.
do.
Yeah.
Polite, ain't it?
It's well brought up.
If you pull your
Anus.
bum
What was
cheeks
that?
apart, it doesn't make a sound.
As Billy Connolly said, it's just your ass giving itself a round of
Exactly.
applause.
You just pull it
If
pull
you
it
fart
apart.
in the forest and no one is around,
I will say,
smell.
in high school, with my high school girlfriend, there was a number of times I would hold them in all night and leave our house and just be farting all the way down the road.
They go home far. They go home far. Oh, yeah.
You'd have to change your pants when you got home that far. That was a bad fart.
Right, okay.
Oh, it was brutal fart.
I used to remember when I was kind of sharing a bedroom with my brother when I was 9 years old. He would fart, and in the bed you'd see him put the covers over himself so we could smell it. I'm sure there were one or two people in this room who have done it before.
But you get used to people's smell, so you
Hashtag
know
Christmas.
people's smell. Like I know cats, like my cousin Cass. If she makes one in a room of 100 people, I would still put Catherine. I would still be able to.
Oh my
smell
God. Who's the fart detective?
But remember when we used to go on holiday, Connor, and you'd wait every time until we got into the car. We'd be driving to France, we'd have all the bags packed up, we'd have like our duvets, we'd be getting into the car with our duvets and our sleeping bags, and you'd wait literally until we were out the driveway, and then you'd let one up and it would stick the whole car off.
First of all, prove it was me. Second of all, oh yeah, I'm timing this. I'm waiting. I've been like, I've been saying this up all day. I can't wait to fart in the car. No, it's ridiculous. I'm in the car. I'm in my sleeping bag. Oh yeah, I'm so
Oh my
excited.
goodness, I just remember us all rolling with it. Connor!
I think I was just a butt of a joke. But
I feel like I'm moaning at Connor because that's quite common.
But even if it was me, I enjoyed it.
So I'll give another lightweight question.
Yes, this is
Lightweight.
loud and proud.
Wait, so just to answer that, yes, you should be feel comfortable.
You said when,
I think you shouldn't. Obviously, myself and Ruth have just got married. I don't think you can marry someone until you're farted in front of them.
But do you think it's? But do you think?
Lena, are you listening?
Do you think it's a continuation of farting in front of each other openly and, in your case, you know, sociably? Do you think that's normal? Do you think that's necessary, or do you think that's just? Yeah, I think it's kind of safe.
I mean, if you're sitting in bed, don't fart and put your head on that.
Yeah, I mean-
that's a joke. That's maybe foreplay for Ruth. I have no idea, but it's not. It's not common. Yeah.
I
Do you
definitely
not
think
think,
that's fine.
actually, if you do it, you don't do it deliberately.
Sometimes it's because it's
You
funny.
make it up, but that's because you're boys.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
What did you just say about your daughter?
Son.
I've been brought up right
My son will be
boys.
here.
Alright, so I think we all agree that you should be comfortable at least before you get married. It is a stepping stone, and it's courtesy not to do
I
it
mean-
in front of you.
Can I just say I
Everybody
read an article now?
Everybody farts.
Can I just say
Sometimes.
I read an article in the dentist or somewhere, and this woman, it was a wee spread in this.
A wee spread. A wee spread or a big spread?
It's a big spread.
Ooh,
And
big spread.
this woman had been married for 20 odd years, had numerous children, and her husband had never seen her without makeup on, nor had she ever.
I had women fart.
Where was this magazine from?
Nice.
1950s.
It was one of these, I don't know, one that you get in.
Like Cosmo.
Yeah.
Cosmos in the 60s.
Hairdresser.
No, it was one of these cheap ones that are. I don't
Okay.
know. And they'll have the same story no matter which one you get, about the same celebs. And
Tablet.
it's all, and her and her husband are smiling. He's a big, really, and she's all pretty and looking. No, I've never ever sort of. He's never seen her without her makeup, and never heard her pass away.
Weird.
I'm bound to have heard it during the night.
Yeah.
The amount of times you wake
knows
up
it.
and you
He's
go,
probably pissed
somebody.
every night and poked out.
I have friends who, like, his girlfriend won't tell him she's going to do number 2. She just says, "Oh, I need to go pay my nose."
Well, does that
Excuse me.
matter? That's her, right?
No, but I mean, like, they won't talk. As in, to him, she doesn't poop.
Well, that's fine.
It's kind of weird.
I don't announce.
But I just-
if
he
do
I'm not saying you have to announce it, but I mean, like,
I don't announce
it
No,
should
my
be
friend
a-
does that
like-
as well. One of my really good friends, they've never spoken about it, and she denies that it ever happens.
But listen, why would you? You do not have to say. I mean, you kids will say, "Oh, I'm going for a poo." I'm thinking, why do you have to say that?
But do
Just
you not
go
think
to
there's
the
a
loo.
level of, like, why can't you talk about that?
Well, that's not the point. What I'm saying is, why do you have to say?
I'm not saying you have to say it, I'm just saying,
You can
surely
say,
it shouldn't be,
nipping
like,
to the loo. You have to actually say,
it should
"I'm
be
going for a
taboo.
pee," or "I'm going for a poo."
Yeah.
Well,
But then,
it should be taboo.
then
no,
there's a,
but you don't have to say it.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it shouldn't be a taboo subject.
but then there's a movement between, right, okay, you're comfortable with it without actually saying, right, I'm about to fart now. I'm going for
Yeah,
or
that's
farting at every opportune moment. A friend of mine's, I heard this story from a friend of mine's friend, and they were overly comfortable on going on holiday. It was a bunch of girlfriends, they go on holiday, and one girl was very happy to, on occasion, crap herself. Not fart in front of them, but
Oh, she had
crap
a
herself in
problem.
front. She had a problem, but she didn't. But she
She
didn't
was
go
popping,
to
she was
the.
popping too many pills, so she didn't feel when she needed to go to the toilet.
Oh, so
Yeah.
she was
But
incontinent.
she didn't go to
Oh, that's
the
different.
doctors
Yeah,
for years about it. So then she would be happy that in a
She
group
was
of friends
popping
she
the
would do
pills.
it in front of her friends.
But she was high.
Illegal.
She shouldn't take on-
She was-
She used to be.
was-
not
She,
anymore.
no,
She was
she
on
knew very
so many
knew it was-
painkillers,
Yeah.
she couldn't feel when she needed to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was
And
medical
that,
condition.
but that was when sharing.
Yeah, it was a
but
drug
she was also sharing a bed with her friends on
So,
the cross. So even
yeah.
that.
I'm not very pleasant. Can I just say, there's an advert on the telly right, at the moment, and I can't remember what it's for, and the woman's in this bath, sort of having a bit of peace, luxury, I don't know if she's got bubble bath. Oh, it's one of these car rental things, right? So she's having this, and I'm having this lovely relaxing bath, and then it spans out, and somebody comes in, and I'm sure it's somebody like admirable. Anyway, it's one of these. I think it's current. Oh no, it's Captain Compute. I can't remember. And her guy, her partner. Okay, sorry, too much detail. The guy is sitting on the pan having a poo. So he'll run out of loo roll, and she's going. Oh. And I was thinking, this is a really bizarre advert. We've got this girl having a luxury bath. We've talked about it. It's strange. And then it pans out, and her partner's sitting there
Pooping.
having what my mum used to call a duty. But that bizarre. That was terrible. But what's that about? Is that funny? Do you think that's funny? Is that not weird?
I think some people can relate to it, so they find it funny.
But it's not weird. You're having a nice look.
But some people will relate to
Somebody
it.
would be sitting beside you. I thought it was weird.
I agree with them, but some people will relate to it.
But it's
It's-
weird. Do you not
It's
think-
like
Is it weird or is it not weird?
It's strange. I think it's probably showing the fact of this is what it looks like. This is what the luxurious life looks like. But actually, real
Do
life
you
is.
sit having a poo when Ruth's in the pan?
No.
And
No, but that doesn't
she's in
necessarily
the
mean
bath?
it's not. Someone doesn't, you
This is
know?
also
Yeah.
something
But
that
would
would
you
never
do
happen
that?
in
Do you think
America.
that's
That kind of advertisement would never get shown in America.
Yeah.
ever.
That's true.
But
Like humour is just not
I
there.
think
and that
it's,
just wouldn't
I
happen.
think
Yeah.
it's a
Not-
bit
yeah.
bizarre that it's shown here.
It's weird, yeah.
Which means I'm thinking maybe you've done a poo and you've had.
No. Well, in America, all the doors are closed. You have
Yeah.
separate toilets. It's not
Separate
open
things.
plan.
You don't have a toilet in the
Just-
room.
Well,
Yeah, they're all like, well, a lot of them are
you-
cubicle
yeah,
toilets.
you can-
just commenting on what Audrey said is it's not the humour in America, and this may reinforce that. For some reason, I remember an episode of Sex in the City when I was younger, where Miranda I think she was showering, and her boyfriend came in and peed, and they made a huge deal about it.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And not that I would ever or have ever peed.
Well,
We
that's
might
a wee
have.
bit different.
Would it be
But-
Miranda? Though? Maybe
Pee's a
Carrie.
wee bit different than
It was
having
the
a
redhead.
poo.
It's Miranda, right?
No, it's which one's? Oh, it's Miranda, isn't it?
Samantha?
No,
Red
yeah,
Head.
you're right.
Red
Sorry.
Head.
Yeah.
And they were shocked about it. And I understand. I don't think that would have been. I think it was maybe on Couples did a similar thing.
I think Miranda was
Couples
shocked.
is a UK sitcom with couples, but I'm pretty sure
No, you're right.
it was a big thing on Sex and the City. And they
But
made a
Sex and the City,
whole
everything.
But it was probably a one night stand.
The
No,
morals
no,
are
no,
weird.
it wasn't a
No,
long
it's a
one.
big thing
It was the
because
one with the glasses. What's
yeah,
his
it's
name?
the definition.
Oh.
Yeah,
The one she married, I had a kid with. Sorry,
Steve,
I had a kid with.
It's the
Yeah.
definition that like your romance is over once that kind of
That
stuff
was
happens.
it, yeah.
It's like
That was,
the
yes.
beginning
It's-
stages, the love,
The honeymoon
newlywed feeling,
period.
the honeymoon
Yeah.
period is actually over once that happens, and it's something no more.
Which neatly brings us on to our next topic,
Which is?
a family moon.
All right, we'll finish this topic.
Okay.
Tell us.
Well, you could just float it.
So we vote on this. Is it a vote on this topic?
Oh, no, we had the vote. Basically, we're
Where's
all
the vote?
unanimous that fart's fine,
Fart.
but just do it respectfully.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, Mum, hit us up. Last one.
So, family, is it? Family moon, honestly, if you can say in front of each other, is family moon the new thing to do? Is it in or is it out?
So I think Liam might need to explain
And can I just
what this
say,
is.
alright, you
So
do it.
family moon, guy, is a
This
patented
our
Slavian
second-
term, which is when your whole family comes on the honeymoon with you. This started when my little brother Declan married his beautiful wife Audrey 2 years ago now, 3 years almost now, where both my brother Connor and my mum and dad for some part joined them on their honeymoon across America. It has now been reflected in my sister and Mark's honeymoon, where we have come along. They will be going on by themselves a little bit after, but the whole family has come along this time
For a week.
for that. Okay, Connor's going to answer that question first, being someone who's been on both of these family moons. Yeah,
Actually, even shared a room with.
yeah.
So I went, we travelled, and I did go on my little brother's Declan and Audrey's honeymoon. And I'm obviously here on the family moon of Slave and Ross. That's Ruth and Mark. I went on Declan and Audrey's honeymoon. Just said that.
You don't need to give us the reason.
What? Yes, I do need to give the reason.
You do.
And the reason was we were told that there were going to be many people, or at least a few friends, travelling around the country together. And when it came to booking flights and tickets, I was assured that this was happening, so I booked these tickets. And when it came to the fact that no one else turned up, what else was I going to do? I couldn't afford rooms on my own, I couldn't afford to travel on my own, so I had to go with
Regardless of the reasoning
And
why,
I was welcome.
is it good? Would you do it yourself? Is it something you think that could be adopted elsewhere?
Remember,
It's
your
circumstantial.
Yeah, it's,
In my idea,
your mum
my
and
eyes.
dad were there, and it doesn't matter why. The question is it good or is it not good?
Audrey?
So this is the bride.
I'm just going to say that we happily invited Connor to go with us, and our thought was that we went to California after our wedding because we had flown from Scotland to Ohio for a wedding already. We didn't want to go too far from there, and Declan and I both thought, when are we ever going to be in this part of the world again with our family? So that's one reason why we all decided to go. So it was a very amicable, and it's definitely not something I think every family could do. Obviously, I don't know if I could do this with my own family. But the Slavins are a very different type of family, very close.
Oh,
So it's a lovely family to be a part of.
And I am not married yet, but
Yet.
if
Lena?
the occasion comes, as I say, I am very close to my family, and I would always enjoy any vacation time away, be it anywhere in the world, with my family and my partner. I may not have only 50% of the say, maybe, in that, but family's always welcome everywhere.
Can I just say, maybe the Slavins can do a family moon and a honeymoon. So you do your family moon, and then
Yeah,
you do your
that sounds
honeymoon
good, actually.
after or before.
Yeah. It's a great opportunity to be together.
and to be fair, that's what.
The idea was, yeah.
Audrey and Declan didn't get that opportunity to have their own honeymoon after. But you have had a few trips, haven't you?
Yeah.
But you two are going away. We've had a week together and then you're going away for a week, so...
Again,
We love it.
Ours was different to what we did here. Like, Mum and Dad were a day two behind us. Yes, Connor was with us the whole time, but
That was just for the bands.
No, we were giving them a day free of
at
parents
any
and
point,
everything.
Audrey and I could have said, look, we just want time on our own, and we would have got
Hell
it.
yeah.
You
Oh,
know.
and then the one
But
time we
then-
were in San Francisco, and Declan and I went to have a drink, and in the middle of the city, so we didn't know where the parents were. We walk around a corner and we hear Audrey, Declan, and it's Dillis in a sushi restaurant waiting us to come join him.
So we ended up having sushi with
Mind you, having said that, I think
That's
we'll come up
fantastic.
to our hotel to see us anyway.
Yeah.
Alright, let's round this up. This is getting on to round 15, so it's a longer episode.
Wow.
I think when it comes to family moons, I am up for family holidays at any time of the year. I would say that I would need some time alone with my wife though.
Yeah.
Even if you've been with her for a wee while.
Agreed.
Even if we've been together for
That
7
that
years.
was a quick no comment. He just kept very quiet and he just said, agreed.
And I think none of us would disagree with his agree.
I agree.
I think.
Shall I say it?
I personally think that you don't actually get many opportunities when you grow older to have a family holiday like you do as a kid, kind of kids and stuff like that. And it's just one other reason to get together with your family and have a little holiday. You will go on holidays with your partner for years to come, you know, and I think you should.
It's true.
But it's
I
still
agree.
just as important for the couple to be able to celebrate their
Yes.
marriage that just
Yeah.
happened.
That's
That's
important
such a
thing.
huge milestone in both
Yeah.
their futures.
I believe I maybe shouldn't have always shared the room.
I second that, Connor.
You went on the sofa one night, I believe.
Slept in the car.
There's absolutely no way I'd have gone on holiday with your father's family for my honeymoon.
I think we've got to appreciate that the Slavens
Well,
are a
family,
unique
but-
bunch. I think as a family you're incredibly close. I know incredibly close. I've been accepted into this quite big family as if I'm one of their own, which has been fantastic. I've loved every minute with them from the moment I met them to.
I'm seeing the brown off your nose.
You sit right beside my mum.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get away.
No,
tomorrow.
I agree with Audrey, and I think most people here when you say and especially what Declan said, in the fact that you don't get many opportunities to have big family holidays when you're in your 20s and 30s. I think these are the kind of times you have an absolute laugh. You get your chance to do your own thing. But we've had an amazing week, and myself and my new wife are off to Florence and Lake Garda for the next week, and I think that's important to have your own time. But I would definitely recommend to anybody that if you get the chance to, like a family holiday, if they're close that is, to go away and spend a bit of time and enjoy that time with the new families. I would definitely recommend it to anyone.
Here, family moon. All right. Woo! Last words.
I'm just going to say one more thing. So, like, families in 2019 are so much more international than they were before. And weddings, and I guess funerals, but weddings are always a reason that people come together and travel. So I think, you travel to a place, that's always an excuse to go somewhere. So I think that kind of just adds to
I mean, I've never been to Colombia, so that'd be nice.
Can I just say, I think that's a big point about yours. The reason you ended up with us was because we
But even
went
just with
over to the
Liam being
States.
home too. Liam being back
And this
here.
time Liam
Yeah.
so it was an excuse, but
Yeah.
Colombia 2020!
Is that next year?
That would be nice.
Now listen.
Lena is never hearing this.
I'm sending
So,
it to them.
Liam, yes, no, family moon.
Family moon. The way Mark and Ruth did that, yes.
Me, I'm a yes.
Yes.
Absolutely yes.
Well, obviously, because I'm the mum, yes.
Yes from me. That's a
Yes.
yes from me.
And a yes from Connor.
There we go. Ending on a unanimous yes. Hashtag family moon.
Ruth, yes.
Let's hear what you want to think about that.
Yes, that's a call to people if you're still listening. Let us know, would you ever do a family moon with your family? Reasons why,
that's
reasons why
actually
not.
really important. That we need to find that out.
Okay.
Is family moon going to be the new honeymoon?
Hit us
No,
at
it will never
Instagram,
be the new
at
honeymoon.
Twitter,
Correct.
at the Mumblecast, hashtag family moon. We
Family
will
moon.
search it.
It will never be the new family.
Email Dillis directly.
At gmail.com.
I love the fact on Instagram there are 35,000 posts of hashtag family moon. I'm guessing there is a family called Moon somewhere.
And then you go on holiday and all that.
Posts about the Lumens.
You mean
European
moment?
reference.
I have had a look at those posts though, and not many of them have like the mum, the dad, brothers and sisters, grown adults, and no children. It's like, I think all of them have got
Of course,
kids
that's what
on
it'll
them.
be. It'll be
It's
people
always
who've had
people
kids
You
with
can
already.
run your family moon for those people for probably people who've got married and they already have children, so they
Yeah.
have their children on their honeymoon.
Yeah.
So that's probably good.
Yeah, we're told.
Maybe, actually, maybe that is the new family. Maybe that
Yeah, that probably is
really
what it
early
is.
commitment.
No car seats here.
It's cheating if you have kids.
It is. It's
They're not these
They
things.
did put their children away with them.
Just as long as everyone could fart in the same room as each other.
All right. Thank you for listening, guys. This has
Thank
been a long
you.
episode, a bit of a unique one.
Thank you.
Sorry about the sound quality. I'm
Nobody's
hoping it'll be manageable to be listened to, but please do. That's all. I've been Liam. You guys have been.
The slave!
And this has been Momocast. Bye.
Bye!